The Galactic Council stood high above the chamber, silent and cold. Dozens of alien species filled the hall, their eyes all focused on one figure, Ambassador Hayes of Earth. He stood tall, but his face was tense. He already knew the outcome before the vote was even finished. Humanity's time in the galaxy was over. The Speaker of the Council, a tall, thin creature with skin like polished stone, raised his hand. His voice echoed like thunder. By order of the Council, humanity is to be exiled from all galactic systems. No human ships may enter our space. No trade, no alliances, no aid. From this day forward, Earth stands alone. Gasps filled the chamber. Not all delegates agreed, but none dared speak against the final ruling. The decision had already been made long ago. To them, humans were dangerous, too emotional, too aggressive, too unpredictable. Even though humans had helped during the Galactic War, they were always feared, and fear had now turned into punishment. Ambassador Hayes clenched his fists. "You are making a mistake," he said calmly. "You needed us when war knocked on your doors. We bled beside you. We died beside you. And now you throw us away." The speaker didn't blink. Human nature is a risk the galaxy can no longer afford. With those words, it was done. The humans were escorted out of the chamber. No handshakes, no farewells, just silence. Back on Earth, the news spread fast. Anger, confusion, fear. Billions watched their screens as Earth's flag was taken down from the Galactic Hall. Ships that once flew proudly in Council space were now hunted or forced to turn back. Embassies were shut down. Trade routes were blocked. Earth became a ghost in the galaxy overnight. The people of Earth felt betrayed. They had once dreamed of joining the stars, of building a future among the stars. Now they were told they didn't belong. The United Terran Alliance, the central government of Earth, declared a full retreat. All human colonies were recalled. All efforts turned inward. Earth was alone. But not everyone gave up. In hidden military bases deep underground, generals and scientists gathered. Among them was General Eric Voss, a war hero during the Tarkin uprising. He watched the news without emotion. Around him, others shouted or cursed. But not him. He just nodded. "They've shown us who they really are," Voss said quietly. "Good. Now it's our turn." Some wanted peace. Some wanted war. But General Voss wanted something else. Strength. He knew the galaxy feared humanity not because of their actions, but because of their potential. The Council feared what humans might become if pushed. So he decided to give them a reason to fear. In the following months, Earth changed. The Terran Alliance poured every resource into rebuilding. Spaceports expanded. Old weapons were upgraded. New ones were designed in secret. Colonies that had once been shut down were reactivated, but this time outside known star routes. The outer systems, ignored by the Council, became the foundation of something new. Quietly, without a sound, humanity disappeared from the galaxy's eyes. But they were not hiding. They were building. Back in Council space, the other species moved on. The humans were forgotten quickly. The galaxy had other problems: pirates, power struggles, and internal disputes. No one noticed when sensor drones near the galactic rim started going missing. No one cared when a few trading ships never came back. They assumed it was bad luck or space storms. They didn't know that humans were still watching. 5 years passed. Then 10. The Council never heard from Earth again. But deep in uncharted space, something massive was forming. An empire was growing, faster, stronger, smarter than anyone expected. The Terran fleets were no longer small or weak. Their technology was advancing rapidly. Their soldiers trained for a new kind of war, one based on silence, precision, and overwhelming force. And above them all stood the man who never forgot the day of exile, General Eric Voss. Now Supreme Commander of the Sovereign Pact, he led humanity with a single purpose: Never again would Earth kneel before anyone. Inside his command chamber, Voss stared at a star map. Red dots marked council systems. Green dots marked human space. The gap between them was shrinking. A young officer approached. "Sir, the last of our frontier worlds are secured. Our stealth fleets are ready. We await your orders." Voss didn't look away from the map. "The galaxy thought we would fade, that we fall apart. But we did what humans always do when pushed." The officer nodded. "We rose." Voss smiled slightly. "No, we evolved." He tapped the screen, and the stars shifted. "We were cast out like trash," he said. "Now we return, not as beggars, not as allies, but as something they cannot control." In the shadows beyond known space, the engines of giant ships roared to life. Their hulls bore no symbols, no flags, only one message encoded in every transmission: "We are coming." And far away, in the heart of the council, an old ambassador woke from a nightmare, one filled with fire, metal, and the cold eyes of a returning enemy. The exile was over. The storm was coming. The Galactic Council had moved on. New trade routes opened. Treaties were signed. Conflicts flared between rival species, but no one spoke of Earth anymore. Humanity was a closed chapter, a warning story for young diplomats. Too emotional, too aggressive, too dangerous. Even Earth's old colonies were erased from maps. But far beyond the Council's reach, deep in uncharted space, something stirred. On a dusty moon near the edge of the Zoruan Drift, a lonely alien trader named Vel Raka stopped to repair his old ship. He landed near a strange canyon, one that wasn't on any of his star maps. While scouting for minerals, he saw it. A tower, metallic, tall, humming with quiet power. Not ancient, not alien. It was new and human. Vel backed away, frightened. He ran to his ship, started the engines, and took off. But just before breaking orbit, he caught a glimpse of something far worse. A massive space station hidden in the planet's shadow. No signals, no lights, just watching. Back on Zarn Prime, Vel tried to warn the Council. He told them what he saw: human tech, human design, human presence. They laughed. "Impossible," said the Minister of Exploration. "Earth has no ships, no colonies. They've been silent for decades." But one admiral, Tarn Jorix, didn't laugh. He stared at Vel with narrow eyes and asked only one question: "Did they see you?" That night, Vel's ship exploded in orbit. No investigation, no answers. But Admiral Jorix began sending silent probes to the edge of Council space. What they found chilled him. Ghost signals, interference, large objects moving in complete silence, power signatures that didn't match anything known. And then, one day, one of his scouts vanished. Its last transmission was broken, full of static. But a single image came through before it was destroyed. A massive black ship, no windows, no markings, no visible weapons. But somehow, it felt deadly. Painted on its side in simple gray letters was one word: Tera. Panic spread behind closed doors. The Council tried to keep it quiet. But rumors travel fast in space. Smugglers whispered of silent patrols watching from asteroid belts. Pirates claimed their ships were hacked mid-flight and disabled without a shot. Merchants spoke of cargo vanishing mid-route. No debris, no pirates, just gone. Someone, something, was out there, and it didn't want to be found. In a secret meeting chamber, the Council gathered again. "This cannot be true," one delegate said. "The humans have returned," Admiral Jorix replied. "And they've been preparing in the dark." A young ambassador scoffed. Why would they hide for so long? Jorix leaned forward. His voice was cold. "Because they wanted us to think they were gone. Now, they want us to wonder when they'll strike." Cliffhanger ending. Late one night, a Council sensor station in the Valor Reach detected something entering the system. Fast, silent, cloaked. They sent out a drone to investigate. It vanished. Then, a single message was received across all council channels. You cast us out. You thought we were broken. We remember everything. The signal cut, and across the stars, alarms began to ring. Humanity had been quiet long enough. The Galactic Council had a problem they couldn't explain. Ships were vanishing. Probes were going dark. Whole systems at the edge of known space had gone silent. Yet no one had declared war. No one had claimed responsibility. But Admiral Tarn-Jorix knew the truth. Humans. They had not disappeared. They had evolved, quietly, patiently, far from the eyes of the galaxy. In a forgotten region of space known as the Ebon Vale, the truth was hidden. A vast human empire had risen, the sovereign pact of Earth. It was not like the Earth that had once begged for a seat at the council. It was sharper, colder, smarter, built not on hope, but on survival. They had colonized rogue planets, hollowed out moons, built fleets in black space docks invisible to standard sensors. Every soldier, ship, and machine had one purpose. Never again would humanity kneel. Their leader was no longer just General Eric Voss. He was now Supreme Commander Voss, ruler of the Pact. He stood at the edge of a star bridge, looking out over thousands of ships, each one ready for war. Beside him stood Commander Elira Kane, his most trusted advisor. They're starting to notice, she said. Voss nodded. Good. Let them feel fear before they see our fire. Far from human space, a curious alien scout ship entered a system called Xeros Null, one that didn't exist on any official maps. It never returned. But what it saw, before being erased, was terrifying. Artificial planets, orbital defense grids with unknown tech, training camps filled with soldiers speaking no language known to the Council. Most shocking of all, AI warships the size of cities, no crew, just silence and code. The Council finally met in emergency session. We need to talk to them, one delegate said. They're not the same, said another. We exiled a species. Now we face an empire. Fear spread through the room like wildfire. Then we must send a message, said the High Speaker. A diplomatic fleet was dispatched. 15 ships, unarmed, full of ambassadors and translators. They entered human space with lights on, shields down, ready to beg for peace. Only one ship returned. The captain had seen too much. We entered orbit of a planet, he said, shaking. It was beautiful. Cities of crystal and metal. Not like Earth. Something new. Something powerful. What happened? Asked the council elder. The captain paused. They spoke through machines. No one moved. No one smiled. They said, you left us to die. We adapted. We watched. Now we act. Cliffhanger ending. Back in the Ebon Vale, Supreme Commander Voss watched the footage of the Council fleet's visit. He said only one thing. That was their warning. The next time we speak, it won't be words. Behind him, hundreds of massive human ships powered up. Not for defense, but for the first strike. Council worlds were nervous. The silence from Earth had been broken, not with words, but with shadows. Ships moved near border systems. Drones vanished. Old relay stations were found destroyed, melted from the inside out. But no human forces had attacked. Not yet. It was worse than war. It was waiting. The unknown gnawed at the Council's mind like poison. On the edge of Council space, near the mining world of Therica's II, the first real incident happened. A Council convoy, escorted by 2 light cruisers, was suddenly stopped mid-flight. All systems failed. Lights, weapons, engines, dead. Then, without warning, a black human vessel appeared. Long, sharp, silent. It didn't fire. Instead, it projected a message across all Council frequencies. This is no longer your space. Before the ships could respond, the human vessel vanished. Panic spread fast. Some Council races called for surrender. Others demanded war, but most were simply afraid. They had underestimated humanity. They forgot that exile to humans wasn't defeat, it was motivation. Meanwhile, within the heart of the Terran Empire, Supreme Commander Voss stood before the Grand Assembly of Earth. Peace was their lie, he said. They smiled as they closed the door on us. Let them feel now what it means to be ignored, to be cast out. The chamber roared with agreement. Beside him, Commander Elira Kane spoke to a group of elite officers. Our first operation begins now. No full assault, just presence. We don't need to destroy them, yet. We need to make them fear the shadows again. Soon, strange incidents became common. Council satellites began replaying old human war footage without being touched. A giant hologram of Earth's flag was seen orbiting a Council capital planet for 5 minutes before disappearing. A human message was found engraved into a Council station's internal wall. You forgot us, but we never forgot you. And then, something bigger happened. A Council border base went silent. When ships arrived, they found the station empty. No signs of battle. No dead bodies. Just one single word burned into the command console. Observe. Every screen inside the base showed live feeds of human military exercises, weapons tests, space drills, city building on unknown worlds. It was a message. We're not hiding anymore. Cliffhanger ending. Back on Zarn Prime, the Council's Emergency Council met once again. The High Speaker slammed his fist on the table. If they want a war, we'll give them one. But Admiral Jorik stood slowly and said, no, they don't want war. They want to show us that it no longer matters what we want. He turned to the map where human activity had been recorded. They're not returning. He zoomed out. They're already here. The galaxy thought it could ignore the humans, but when the first Terran warships opened fire, they realized too late. This wasn't a rebellion. This was a reckoning. For weeks, fear had grown. Council systems were on high alert. Fleets patrolled their borders. Diplomats begged for answers. But the humans gave none. They simply watched. Until one day, they didn't. It started at Sci-Fi Station, a massive Council trade hub near the border of the old human territories. Without warning, its entire power grid collapsed. Backups failed. Communications died. Then the sky split open. A single human warship, jet black, with no visible weapons, entered orbit. Zephyr's defenses activated, but never fired. One by one, their systems shut down. Not destroyed, hacked, turned off like lamps. Then came the message. This is the price of silence. And in less than 3 minutes, the warship fired a beam of silent energy. Zephyr Station, once home to 1 million beings, vanished in white light. No debris, no distress call, just gone. The galaxy woke up in terror. This wasn't diplomacy. This wasn't a warning. This was the first strike. In the Terran War Room, Supreme Commander Voss stood before a massive hologram of Council space. Beside him, Commander Kane gave the report. One target, clean removal. No civilian ships in range. They'll panic, just as planned. Voss nodded. Let them run, let them scream. They taught us fear. We're simply returning the lesson. Across Council space, chaos erupted. Peace worlds activated ancient defense systems. The Council moved fleets to guard key planets. Emergency broadcasts warned citizens of human ships, described only as shadows with teeth. Some Council races began to question everything. Why didn't we help the humans back then? What did we expect them to become? Others prepared for total war. Admiral Jorik stood before the Council with grim news. They have weapons we don't understand. Technology that bends systems to their will. And worst of all, they fight without hatred. No emotion, just precision. A young alien general spoke. So what do they want? Jorix replied. Not peace, not territory. They want respect, earned through fire. That night, the Terran Empire broadcast a single message across every known communication line. We offered friendship. You gave us silence. Now, you will listen. This is just the beginning. Cliffhanger ending. Somewhere deep in Terran space, inside a hidden fortress, a new fleet was being assembled. Faster, stronger, smarter than anything before. As the last ship was activated, Commander Kane turned to Voss. Phase 2 is ready. Voss's eyes were cold. Then let them feel what it means to wake a sleeping giant. Zyphor Station was only the beginning. Now the galaxy burns, not from hatred, but from a cold, calculated fury born in the shadows of exile. The destruction of Zyphor Station sent shockwaves across the stars. Council leaders argued day and night. Who would be next? How strong was the Terran Empire? Could they even be stopped? But while the Council hesitated, humanity moved. In a span of 3 days, 4 more Council outposts disappeared. A military command center melted into slag. A weapons factory reduced to dust. A deep space prison emptied. Every door unlocked, all systems dead. And a stealth satellite network hacked, showing nothing but Earth's flag, looped on every screen. Each time, the message was the same. You turned your back on us. Now face us. Council civilians began fleeing core worlds. Border planets shut down. Some species even broke alliances, hoping to avoid being targeted next. The Council's unity crumbled. Meanwhile, within the Terran High Command, Supreme Commander Voss monitored the chaos. His strategy was working. Fear is faster than fire, he said calmly. Let them destroy themselves before we even arrive. Commander Kane gave a report. Several Council fleets are retreating. Others have gone dark. We haven't fired a shot in 48 hours. And they're falling apart. But not everyone ran. In the heart of Council space, Admiral Jorix took command of the last remaining elite fleet. He knew what they were facing. They're not fighting like a normal power, he said to his officers. They're fighting like a species that remembers pain. Jorix began his own plan, to strike back, not with weapons, but with truth. He ordered old Earth files to be released, footage from the early days. The Council's vote to exile them. Recordings of humans pleading for help as their colonies were burned by pirates. And ignored. It spread across Council channels like wildfire. Billions of beings, young and old, watched the truth for the first time. And many began to whisper, "We were wrong." In secret meetings, some Council members discussed surrender. Others planned betrayal, turning over Council coordinates to the humans in exchange for mercy. Fear had done its job. The Council was tearing itself apart, without a single Terran soldier landing. Cliffhanger ending. Back on Earth, deep within the Terran throne chamber, Voss stood alone beneath a banner that read, "From Ashes, Empire." He watched the galaxy map, red zones spreading fast. Then Commander Kane entered. "We've done enough damage with shadows," she said. "It's time they see our face." Voss turned, his eyes cold. "Prepare the fleet. We move." At dawn, for years, the galaxy thought humanity was gone. Then they saw the shadows. Now they will see the truth with their own terrified eyes. The stars trembled as the Terran fleet moved. It wasn't one ship, not a dozen, but hundreds. Black, silent, massive. Their shapes were unfamiliar. Sharp angles, strange energy signatures, engines that bent light itself. No markings, no names, just power. At the front of this unstoppable armada, the Sovereign flagship, Vanguard 1, with Supreme Commander Eric Voss on the bridge. He looked calm, cold, ready. "This is not a war," he said softly. "This is the answer to a question they should never have asked." In Council space, panic turned to helpless silence. Satellites caught the first images of the approaching Terran fleet. Cities went quiet. Leaders froze. Some planets tried to broadcast peace offers. Others just turned off the lights and prayed. But it was too late. The first landing wasn't a bombing. It wasn't destruction. It was a message. Terran ships entered orbit of the once proud Council capital, Zarn Prime. They deployed massive projectors into the sky. Then, across every screen, every speaker, every network, the voice of humanity spoke. You cast us into the dark. You left us to die. But in the dark, we learned. We built. And now, we return, not for revenge, but for justice. Then, for the first time in history, the people of the galaxy saw it. The Terran Empire. Cameras hidden on the ground caught footage of Earth's new army. Soldiers in exosuits walking like giants. Eye units moving as fast as thought. Drones that floated, scanned, and vanished into thin air. Humans standing tall, not as victims, but as conquerors. But then, something no one expected happened. The humans stopped. No cities were destroyed. No civilians harmed. Instead, they offered terms. We do not want slaves. We do not want your worlds. We want the truth known. And we want the Council dismantled. The galaxy was stunned. This wasn't war for blood. It was surgical, strategic, controlled. The Council tried to resist, but their own people rose against them. Civil uprisings broke out. Races that once mocked Earth now waved the Terran flag, begging for alliance. One by one, Council worlds surrendered. And as the Council finally collapsed, Eric Voss stood before the Galactic Network and spoke to all species. We were cast out. We were broken. But we never forgot who we were. We are Terran. And now, we lead. Final scene. The Galactic Council building. Empty, dark, and silent. The human flag is raised above it. Not in rage, but in cold remembrance. As the camera pulls back into space, the voice of Commander Kane echoes. They sent us into exile. But all they did was give us time to build an empire that would shake the stars.